may be seated. Welcome to a service remembering the life of Lydia Lawlor. Thank you for sharing your time by being here. My name is Sarah, and I will guide us through the elements of this afternoon's memorial. In moments like these, we are acutely aware of the fragility of our shared human experience. It is so difficult. But today, you lean on each other, sharing your sorrow, as well as the beauty, the complicated joy of your life with such a special person. I've been told about Lydia's love for science, even from a young age, in the Science Society at her high school and in her undergraduate studies. Lydia recently had conversations about the law of the conservation of energy. The majority of us might be scrunching up our noses trying to remember a long-forgotten lecture or a school quiz. But this is a scientific law that states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Rather, it can only be transformed or transferred from one form to another. When the physical body is gone, the energy that grew and maintained it is transformed, but remains nonetheless. Your love and connection to Lydia also takes a different form now, but remains nonetheless. Therefore, it would be entirely appropriate, even predictable, for you to think of her at nearly any time in the future, feeling the pulsing warmth of the sun on your face, enjoying a bite of a delicious meal and taking in nourishment, hearing a favorite song animate the air with sound waves, sharing space and breath and time with loved ones. All these things transform us, as our relationship with Lydia did. Going forward, you can feel her unique love at any moment that you choose, simply by living your life and remembering her as you do. It is so clear that Lydia lived with intention. She was fully present in many ways. When you were with her, she shared her stories with you, but also gave you new ones of your own. She illuminated every bright moment, and she has left you with so many little gifts of light. Keep those little gifts softly glowing in your mind today, and may her memory be a blessing. We will now hear Lydia's obituary read aloud. Lydia Elizabeth Lawlor passed away at the age of 31 on December 16th, 2025. In her final weeks and days, she spent beautiful and meaningful time with family, friends, and loved ones. She frequently expressed her immense gratitude for the supportive love that she received. Openness, intelligence, a strange but captivating sense of humor, a strong commitment to live according to her values, and both a scientific and empathetic curiosity all describe who Lydia was. She loved her large family fiercely and was always at the center of fun and play during gatherings. Though she joked that she was a personality hire at work, her combination of traits actually made her excel and won esteem and affection from many colleagues. Driven by her curious nature, Lydia loved insects, crunchy-looking geodes and gemstones, birds, defending the beauty of pigeons across the globe, and making a spreadsheet to track data on literally anything and everything. She also loved a substantial suck. Nearly every cat, consuming an array of various drink types over the course of one day, and a long-standing obsession with keys, locks, and unique doors. While discussing the things that she loved, it was recently mentioned by her friend James that he had just as many unforgettable conversations with Lydia about what she hated. So, to commemorate the fullness of who she was as a human, here are this list of her hates. Ranch dressing, which she refused to acknowledge as appropriate for almost any use. Jazz music, as recent, potentially regrettable conversation revealed a bit too clearly. And frankly, musical theater didn't get a standing ovation either. Overhead lighting, which led to an exceedingly high number of low-powered lamps in her apartment. Overeager dogs that slobber too much. Lazy design of app interfaces. Pet names, espresso martinis, the touch and feel of microfiber. You undoubtedly sense from that list of frank personal transparency that Lydia maintained, honesty was implied, and she had an underlying confident sense of self, a confidence that bloomed as she chose challenging paths of self-discovery. As she grew to know herself, she made space for others to do the same. The sharp wit and insight that might tease a friend was also used to encourage them to make bold moves that would enrich their own lives. Her magnetic personality drew friends and strangers alike, and it was not uncommon to hear Lydia mention in passing that a random person disclosed their life story to her. Everyone just loved her, often instantly. Lydia's life was defined by community. After finishing her education, she was particularly intentional about continuing to maintain and build social bonds, both one-on-one and as glue binding groups of people. Hard to imagine many other younger millennials not afraid of a phone call or even a handwritten letter. You would rarely find her home. She'd be just as likely throwing pottery with clay studio friends, attending board game nights, wandering the Nelson Atkins Museum, having a cute drink or coffee on a patio at the chicest of local spots, meeting with her D&D group, antiquing, or volunteering time with the local tenants union. Always on the lookout for a new hobby or skill, she developed a regular focaccia habit and marveled that many of her plants often survived. And she recently took up crocheting to hand create baby gifts for the brand new tiny humans in her life, Ava, Vivi, Henry. To chase away the winter blues, she hosted a weekly soup night for friends during cold months and invited them to bring any of their crafts along. However, you probably couldn't count on her to recreate a dish. She made them up on the spot and used whatever she had on hand to feed the ones that she cared for. Just like Lydia, they were unreplaceable. They were delights, inspired by the love for others. An avid traveler, she regularly surprised you with a new scheme of where she'd head to next. 22 countries had already been visited. She was captivated by hiking and nature the most, saying that many big cities ended up seeming pretty much similar. But more than where or how often, it was who traveled with her that meant the most. A wide circle of friends and family. Returning home was always made so sweet by the devoted welcome of her cat, Caterpillar, and recent addition to the family, adorable kitten Misu, and by the particularly beloved people she lived with through many years. Her dear friends Madeline Bird, Ramie Taylor, Teresa Collins, and her sister Maggie. All who knew her and loved her will profoundly mourn the loss of the shared life that she should have had with them. But the difficult last month served to illuminate such incredible depths of feeling, strengthened by a life of countless hours of joy, passing time, exploring, loving, growing, and becoming with her loved ones. Her loss is felt so intensely because she loved us and life so completely. Lydia was preceded in death by her grandparents, David, Vivian, Dean, Uncle Gerald, sister-in-law Christina. Lydia is survived by her parents, Ron and Sherry, grandmother Carol, siblings Chris, who is the father of her niece Katie, Sarah, Josh, Joe, Sam and his wife Amanda with baby niece Vivian, Tom and his wife Nicole with baby niece Ava, and Maggie. So many dear extended family members, aunts, uncles, cousins, and her cherished community of friends, both the ones gathered here and those flung across the world. They all grieve deeply alongside the immediate family. We will now hear a piece of recorded music sung by Scottish folk singer Corrine Polwart. It is an arrangement of the old traditional Scottish song, The Parting Glass. The lyrics tell of someone who has spent too long an evening with friends, and is finally rising up from the table to leave. In many folk traditions around the world, the final drink is customarily offered to send a friend on their way for the evening.
All the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and of all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. For all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fell to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I've had, they are sorry for my going away, and of all the sweethearts that e'er I've had, they would wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be with you all. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be with you all.
Today we will hear 4 pre-recorded reflections about Lydia from a few who were so dear to her. Here are the first 2 from her mother Sherry and longtime friend James.
Lydia has always been an interesting person, and I've learned so much from her over the years. She was bright and quirky and funny and smart, and like each of our kids, she was better than me in many ways, and I'm glad for that. She wasn't perfect, but I don't think being perfect was something that she cared about. Connection was the most important thing to her, and that is how she lived. And that's why so many people loved her. The ability to see people is probably the thing I appreciated most about her. It was important to her that people felt valued and heard and seen. And whether she was at work or in a coffee shop or just driving by a corner in Midtown, she was intentional about helping people know that they mattered. She just had a way about her. One thing we talked about in the last few weeks is how life is meant to be all about love. And honestly, it was impressive to see how she walked that out. She was good at using her resources and her voice to help people in need, and she carefully took time to invest in her family and her beautiful friendships. I believe it's good to have people in your life that stretch and challenge you to be better. And Lydia certainly did that for me.
My name is James Leitner, and I wanted to share a story of Lydia from middle school. In middle school, we decided to do what a lot of young people dream of doing. We started a band. One problem, though, we didn't have any instruments. So we gathered some old toys, instruments, clothes, and made some baked goods and had a huge joint garage sale. We set up super early, but to pass the time, we would show off used clothes runway style, ate our own baked goods, and generally just messed around. We took all the money that we earned and purchased all the instruments you would need to start a band. I remember Lydia really wanted the electric banjo, and in retrospect, we totally should have let her. But instead, we decided she needed to be our lead singer. We spent several days fighting over what genre of music we should play and what the name of our band should be. We decided to name ourselves One Way and came up with some corny pictures of a one-way sign pointed to the sky. We started by doing really poor covers of Skillet, Reliant K, and Linkin Park, but more often than not, we would get distracted and just talk for hours and sometimes eat raw brownie mix. While we never became the next big Christian rock band, I will always remember those days hanging out in my basement, talking, sharing stories, and on the rare occasion, playing instruments.
Now I will invite Lydia's cousin Abby to read a short poem that Lydia chose herself for this occasion.
Afterglow. I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times in bright and sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun of happy memories that I leave when life is done.
Thank you so much, Abby. Here are another few audio clips by friend Teresa and Lydia's older brother, Sam.
Lydia would often call to see if I was hungry and wanted to grab a bite to eat or to cook a meal together. One time, we met up to have breakfast burritos at Happy Gillis, but the air conditioning was out. So we hopped in her car and went through a list of places to find the exact kind of burrito she wanted. She finally settled on Garden House, so we drove all the way across town and ended up sitting out front to people watch and chat about nothing special. While outside, there was a spider that decided to join us and kept coming over by Lydia. She was so gentle with it, moving out of its way and directing it back to the flowers it came from, at least 5 times. We talked about the little native habitat that was planted next to us and how curious the spider was. We sat there for a few hours just enjoying each other's company. This reflection, although it may seem mundane, reminds me of how Lydia loved in gentle and consistent ways, how warm-hearted she was, how she loved sharing experiences with those she held close, and also loved trying new food, going to new places, and experiencing new things. She was a consistent friend, and she loved all things in nature. Her friendship found joy in the mundane small things, just as much as the big life events. We were all so lucky to love and be loved by her, and to experience a kind of love that met the moment, no matter how small.
For my birthday a few years ago, I subjected members of our family to an escape room, where a small group works together on different little pieces of a themed puzzle, opening this locker or that secret door, trying to complete a narrative in under an hour. Our hour not even half done, I was working on some cipher in one corner when Lydia opened a lockbox, found a key, and very suddenly led us out the final door of the puzzle. The The employee monitoring our game was amazed. He asked Lydia how she cracked the code. It turns out she just guessed the 6-digit combo without any of the requisite clues. Strictly vibes-based. We've understood her to be a psychic ever since. A few weeks ago, I was able to tell Lydia that for a long, long time, she's one of the people I've wanted to impress the most. A part of that is I've always felt like Lydia had great taste, sensible views and values, a strong sense of self, impeccable taste in pop culture, and a fashion sense she once confided was heavily inspired by the character Chessie from The Parent Trap. Don't tell her I told you. But more importantly, I've always wanted to impress Lydia because of how much she's always impressed me. Lydia was very good at becoming important to people. I think more than anything that's because she was a communicator. Always genuine, upfront, and honest. You always got her real self. She was warm and witty, and she paid attention and had insights to offer. I've only become more impressed while thinking about her these last couple weeks, at how present and available she was. She was someone who reached out and connected, someone who opened her home and cleared her schedule for people. Lydia, it was an honor to share our childhoods, an honor to go sledding and play poo sticks, to love all of our pets, to build a library of cultural touchstones all our own, to share a dinner table and celebrate holidays. It was an honor to grow older and talk about music and movies, to share a love of puzzles and board games, an honor to help each other move time and time again, to talk about our weird brains and our travel plans, an honor to wait out a long pandemic with visits to your Animal Crossing island, to exchange memes and photos of our cats, to experience your generosity as a host and eat your delicious food. It was an absolute honor to cherish every moment I got to spend with you through your last few months, knowing even in the bad times there was nowhere I'd rather be. And now it's an honor to carry your memory with me every day until the day I join you out there in some hereafter or silent peace. I love you, Lydia. I love you now, and I love you always.
We will now hear one of Lydia's longest friends, Madeline Bird, read a poem she wrote specifically for today, in honor of Lydia.
We sat on a patio, conversation and laughter still hanging in the air, as though suspended by the Kansas humidity. Cicadas, a distant swell as dusk nestled its way into the evening, settling into a slow silence that spread between us. Such a soft and familiar thing. The threadbare sweatshirt found always at the top of the pile, an heirloom of comfort. Our glasses now empty, condensation adding to the myriad rings on myriad tables, fitting preciously into our collection of do-nothing days. The evening was still, and looking up through mottled branches of a sycamore, I thought that to just be here with you on these fraying wicker chairs, that I had to be one of the luckiest people on the entire planet. We sat on a patio, and it was getting late, and we moved to just one of 1,000 goodbyes. The lasting bloom of your hug reminding me that there is no such thing as solitude. You made your way to your car, and all that was left was the yellow glow from the nearby street lamps winding their way into forever. I hope it was that same soft, warm light that led you home.
Thank you, Madeline. Now I'd like to invite Brooke with a live musical offering. Brooke prepared and practiced this music as a gift after a really special evening that Lydia had recently with dear friends. There ended up not being a chance to give this musical gift to her, So instead, we all get to experience it now. Thank you, Brooke. We will now hear from Lydia's dear friend, Ramy.
Hi, I'm Ramy, one of Lydia's friends. Lydia and I have been to 15 countries together. So many of you guys may know me from our travels. We actually didn't bond over our love for travel. That grew for both of us after we became friends. I met Lydia at K-State in an engineering physics class, and we started studying together a couple times a week. I quickly learned that she's competitive and smart and witty. We ended up living together for a year before she moved here to Kansas City. During that year, we spent many nights hosting people to play cards, sit by the fire, and for themed parties. That year, I learned so much about Lydia, and she learned a lot about me. One thing I learned was how often she would whistle. She would whistle all the time. We cooked together, we laughed together, and we traveled outside the country for the first time. That winter break, we went to China and Japan, which just kickstarted our plans to see the world. In the many years after, we often met up in other cities, countries, or national parks to spend time together. We often found our days looked similar no matter where in the world we were. We would spend days outside, usually doing something active or learning something new, and finish the day on a patio with a nice meal and a glass of something refreshing. Lydia and I's time meant the world to me, and it's an honor to share her final thoughts with you all. They say that youth is wasted on the young, but I think that people only say that because the young have no money to do anything. The good news is, I started doing things well before I had the money or business to do them. I would never tell you how to grieve, but know that I am not grieving the life that I did live. I had adventure. I saw incredible beauty all around the world. I ate amazing food. I had the best people on my side, and I had love to fill 1,000 lifetimes. There's nothing quite like dying to make you consider your life choices. Of course, I would love to live more life with you all, but the life I have lived was so good. So when you remember me, please remember the laughter, the love, the creativity. Remember the times we grieved together, the struggles, but the resilience, the hard times that never did seem to last as long as the good times, but made them all the more sweet. The cliches about dying are true. People do not tend to regret the things that they do. They tend to regret the things they do not. So if I can encourage anyone in this, I'll say, do the thing. Hang out with your friends after work on the weekdays. Host 100 dinner parties. Do the thing that seems scary, and remember that excitement often feels the same as fear. And if it seems like something I would do, or like to do, then take me with you in your memory. If I wouldn't like it, leave my memory at home. I don't want to go mountain biking. Love doesn't go away easily. It stays. And I was made up of all of the ways that you all loved me. Just like I hope my love for you makes up a part of you. And in that, we are never apart. Thank you for being the lights of my life that made it so good. I love you.
Thank you, Rami. As we draw this ceremony to a close, I would encourage you to focus especially on Lydia's words that we just heard. Later today, you could think about ways to follow her encouragement. Make a practical plan for ways to strengthen your own community, as she so often did. Love doesn't go away easily, she said. It stays. So please take a moment to bask in the warmth and magnitude of your love for her and hers for you. Carry any new meaningful memories from this ceremony, along with the many, many memories from the past. Take with you all the love and joy that they bring. Every thought of Lydia is indeed a blessing, and I hope you feel those blessings profoundly as you go from here today.